Hi, everybody. Welcome to this session of revamping the digital ecosystem, jointly being offered by ServiceNow and Microland. I hope this brings us all together to talk about a very important topic, and that is to say that as we've undergone a lot of change over the last few years in the context of the pandemic, we've also felt the need to realign our business models in many ways, including how we work, how we define our processes around work, and what we expect as the function of IT constantly changes in these days to come. And as many of us have initially been focusing on many aspects of IT transformation, we now are faced with the task of essentially also realigning our processes to work in that same fashion and adapt to the new age requirements as it pertains to digital ecosystems that are going to currently be required to be supported in the future. So our intent today here, and I'm going to quickly introduce our speakers in a short while, is to essentially look at how capabilities from a ServiceNow perspective, along with some of the decisions many of us need to take within our day-to-day lives as we perform IT support functions, needs to be enhanced, modified, and retrofitted to address the digital ecosystem transformations that we are undertaking. Essentially, as you may all know, that ServiceNow has potentially moved from the older model of being an IT service management organization to being one that focuses more on business transformation and business process optimization. And what does that mean for us in an IT context, and how can we adapt to it, is something that we're going to touch on today. Our intent here at a bare minimum is to be able to, at least from today's session, be able to take away how can we use ServiceNow and capabilities in terms of implementing the functions, features of the ecosystem of products from ServiceNow, help address some of the gaps that you may see in terms of a continuously transforming IT environment that you need to deal with. How can we drive not just agility in that space, but also add value and be able to closely align to business outcomes? And that, I'm hoping, should be a good takeaway for us over the next 60 minutes to be able to achieve. Now, to get to that, I'm going to quickly address, at least introduce our speakers. I have Anton. Anton is the Vice President of Solutions Consulting and the Global Alliances Leader and for Channel at ServiceNow. He is focused on working with CXOs to address digital transformation initiatives, and is experienced in building high-performance customer-facing organizations, teaming with marketing and product teams to enable revenue growth, and is a trusted innovator to the C-suite, helping customers achieve business value from technology investment. He has built culture and teams that produce raving fans in customer environments that redefine our relevance in the market. I also have Shrikara, who's the Senior Vice President of Consulting Services and Service Management from Microland. And Shrikara is responsible in helping introduce transformation technologies in the IT infrastructure stack. Shri also runs this service management business, as I mentioned, and has been a transformation leader with 28 years of diversified experience developing and deploying innovative solutions. He has a solid track record in delivering significant customer-focused business results across many industries, including insurance, financial services, manufacturing, transportation, consumer products, pharma, life sciences, and technology. Prior to joining Microland, Shrikara was Vice President of Global Infrastructure Solutions at a French headquartered IT services organization. Also, just to add a little bit about me, I'm Vivek Radhakrishnan. I'm the Senior Vice President for Microland. I head up the North America business, and will be happy to address any questions you have after our presentations today. And with that being said, I'm going to take a quick minute to just give, for those of you who haven't heard of Microland or are new to us, give a quick overview of our genesis. And with that, after that, I'm going to hand it over to Shrikara to take it from there. Now, Microland is essentially an organization that's headquartered in Bengaluru in India. It's been in the business for 31 plus years, has been known to be a leader in the space of IT infrastructure management. We have offices across the world, and we deliver services globally across multiple geographies for our customers. We are almost a 5,000 plus employee organization now, leading in the space of infrastructure services and in implementations that are wide and ranging in the space of transformation. Our focus has largely been in leading transformation through operations for our customers. We are seeing an explosive growth in the market today at 20% rates in the business that we are in, and 80% of our engagements that we engage in today are led through outcome models or managed services, as you may say. We maintain some of the highest CSATs in the market, both in terms of the Net Promoter Score, and we have a fairly strong stack of innovation solutions that potentially help address customers' needs when it comes to analytics, automation, and we use these platforms to help accelerate deployments of various transformation initiatives that we undertake. Needless to say, of course, you can see a wide-ranging set of partners that we use to deliver our services from with, and obviously ServiceNow being a very critical element of that as well. With that being said, Shrikara, I'm going to hand it over to you to take it from here.
Yeah, Anton, over to you.
Yep. Hi, good morning, good afternoon, good evening. My name is Anton. I am, as they introduced, I'm the Vice President of Solution Consulting for our channels and alliances ecosystem. I'm based out of Washington, D.C. And what I'm going to do here in the next 10 minutes, give you a quick overview of ServiceNow and how we are aligning to that digital transformation capabilities and helping organizations across various different industries achieve and respond to the latest environment that we've gotten pulled into with the recent pandemic. The pandemic has forced organizations to be able to pivot the way that they were delivering IT services internally. They were forced to be able to how they deliver services to their external organization. And ServiceNow finds itself in a kind of unique position to be that digital command center for the enterprise to be able to deliver on those outcomes across vast use cases of the enterprise. So what's kind of our charter is, we make the world of work better for people. What that means is that over the course of the last 15, 20 years, the way we experience our personal lives, what we experience in our personal lives, from acquiring rideshare or from going to Amazon and procuring various different goods and services, has completely changed. But the enterprise, it's still legacy. In the enterprise, you still have fragmented systems. You have complex workflows that are interdependent, that are manual. And again, the latest pandemic really shed some significant light on how an enterprise needs to evolve, needs to digitize to be able to meet the needs of the environment that we're in. So our founder, basically Fred Luddy, when he founded the company in 2004, he didn't seek out to be able to develop and deliver a solution that only delivers to the IT organization, but he wanted to develop a cloud-based platform that would enable regular people to route the work throughout the enterprise. He was ahead of his time in 2004. Platform and digitization of business processes were not well known in 2004. So with that, we're executing today on delivering on his vision across the globe. So company was founded in 2004, globally 14,000 employees. Revenue has grown significantly, but what's really important is that we have a significant install base of customers that are using our platform for various different use cases, from IT to delivering services internally from an HR perspective. They're using it from a customer service management perspective, delivering outbound services to their customers and business partners in order to conduct work. And we have a global partner ecosystem, just like Microland, that is leveraging this platform to deliver to those outcomes in various different types of use cases. So operating in this new normal, the global turmoil is really kind of put the business back on its heels for the first couple of months. Quickly businesses realized that they couldn't conduct the way that they were conducting in the old model, in the old way of those manual processes. And customer touch base had a new meaning because everybody was pushed into their homes, into these remote environments, and they really needed to have a cost control around it. They couldn't just open up everything to be able to access everything. Not just cost, also security becoming a major concern of organizations as well. And then the importance of those employee experiences and their well-being in this environment was very, very important to the organizations. And over the years, various different IT processes have relied on point solutions, and we spent significant amount of money during that time investing in those point solutions, but we didn't really have the foresight to be able to see how a single platform, how a single workflow can really optimize and deliver to the outcomes of the customers during such a crisis as the pandemic. Whatever your business is facing, behind it, there's a workflow. Behind it, there's a way that we can leverage the ServiceNow platform combined with Microland Services to be able to optimize those services and deliver an outcome to your internal employees or to your customers so that your business can thrive, so that your business can grow and can evolve into the next evolution of how we deliver these services. At the end of the day, we want the opportunity, combined with Microland, to be able to workflow any of those complex business processes that you've got in your organization, whether that be around IT, again, around your employee, your customer, or more importantly, ServiceNow has a very, very robust low-code, no-code development capability that we can develop and orchestrate and workflow any type of a business process. It doesn't necessarily have to be IT or any of the other workflows that we talked about. At the end of the day, what you're trying to achieve is delivering that digital workflow and that customer experience. You want to be able to have a very seamless interaction with the end user. I use the example of Amazon. I'll use the example of online banking. When your online banking or your financial institution that you interact with, when they rolled out their digital platform on your mobile device, nobody came to teach you how to use that application. It was very intuitive. It made sense. And a couple of clicks, you were able to check your balances. Even recently, you're able to deposit checks. You don't even have to go into a branch anymore to make deposits. We want to be able to leverage, and ServiceNow has the ability to be able to deliver those types of services, leveraging the same concept, the same application frameworks to be able to deliver on that digital platform. And end users are very interested in that. They want that seamless interaction. They want to be able to use as a self-service component. They don't want to always have to pick up the phone and speak with somebody. Again, whether it's an internal or external customer that that is using any of these services, they want to be able to be self-sufficient, self-reliant. But in the back end, there's very complex processes. You have an agent that needs to have that seamless interaction into it. You have a middle office, operations, marketing, sales, and finance that are dependent. They each have their own systems of record that they're using in order to deliver on their roles and functions. So tying all of that together into a single platform and deliver to the outcome is what ServiceNow is able to do, again, jointly with Microland and their services. Let's take a look at what a 21st century business needs look like and what a single platform and that digital command center is able to offer. We need to have that connection to that enterprise. The users want to feel connected. They want to access those services and resources that an organization has to provide. A seamless user experience is extremely important. Automation and artificial intelligence in the back end to be able to either route the work or deliver results to the consumer is very, very important. And more importantly, rapid innovation becomes very important as business evolves, as these processes mature, to be able to take advantage of more technological advancement, to be able to consume more of those innovation that companies like ServiceNow are putting into this single system of record, into a single platform, becomes very, very important. Fast, agile, resilient, secure, connected, human-centric applications are the core foundation to that outcome. ServiceNow, as I said, is a platform of platforms. We're the digital command center for any business optimization, any business process optimization that you have. We started our strengths in IT, but we've quickly realized that to be able to have that single user interface across the platform, to be able to leverage all of the capabilities of a modern enterprise application inside of that platform, to aggregate the work across all of the functional areas of the business is a direction that we're taking. We're working with our customers to take them as they embark on their digital transformational journey. And there is no challenge big enough, there is no challenge small enough that cannot be leveraged on the ServiceNow platform to deliver to those outcomes. Really appreciate you spending about 10 minutes here with me reviewing the ServiceNow platform and the capabilities. I'm going to turn it over to Sri to talk about how ServiceNow combined with Microland's solution capabilities can deliver to your business outcomes. Sri, over to you.
Yeah, thanks, Anton. Mark.
Hi there. So we'd like to do a quick poll here. So if you could, to which of the following ServiceNow best fits? Select one: SaaS, PaaS, infrastructure as a service, or SaaS with PaaS. And the audience votes 45% for SaaS, 18% for PaaS, infrastructure as a service is 9%, and SaaS with PaaS is 27%. So most of us feel that ServiceNow fits best in the SaaS model. A next quick poll: what is ServiceNow preferred implementation method? Select one: OOB, customization, OOB with configurations. Well, 100% OOB with configurations. Okay, Shakar, on to you.
Awesome. Thank you, Mark. Hey, hi, all. Good afternoon, good morning. It's been quite some time. I think we all connected, and glad to see such a big crowd up here. So today I'm going to take you around what we have been doing within Microland around service management and linking ourselves with ServiceNow. So I think one of the key things that's happening is we are definitely in the digital world. And I don't know whether to thank COVID or not to thank COVID, but COVID has certainly made things digital. And everybody is moving in this direction of digital ecosystem and adopting workflows to a big extent. And we are seeing that every single day, the workflows are just getting smarter and smarter, whether it is HR, whether it is procurement, whether it is security. Operations has been there for quite some time. And then the new thing is around business applications with the Now platform. So Microland at the center of all these things. Today, we are talking more in the territory of business applications, HR, procurement, security, ITBM, stuff like that, rather than we actually talking more of IT operations. So IT operations has become the de facto, but the thing is we are going into the digital ecosystem. Sorry. And what are we doing at Microland? We are an end-to-end service provider for service management, right from consulting services, architecture design, implementation, governance, domain consulting, support. All the services are led by the service management group today, which basically enables us to ensure that first we look at what processes you have, what is the direction that needs to be taken considering your ecosystem, your competitive landscape, your set of tools, and how do we take you there? And that's powered by basically the Now platform. And the alliance with ServiceNow is actually putting us ahead of the curve in many of the things around service management. So it's become more user centric. We are more smart in terms of automation. There's a lot of industry trends that are coming up. Compliance is a big thing in the current situation, and we want to be secure, we want to be safe, and we want to be able to scale up and have a resilient infrastructure. So with ServiceNow, we have built quite a few stuff that I'm going to take you through, but we are an end-to-end service provider in the service management space. So if you look at most organizations, they can relate to this area, right? They can relate to this area where they say, okay, my as-is solution is good enough. I have forayed into multiple things a little bit here and there, but am I completely there? Am I in the place where we can say, okay, we are to a state where we can say we might hit nirvana at some point in time? No, most of them are not. So most of them are saying they've bought a ton of tools, they've tried integrations, they've tried workflows, they've bought licenses. Some of them are lying in the shelf, but not implemented, not linked to the business to a large extent, I would say. So we do take the as a solution, take it to elevate and optimize situation where we bring the process maturity, we ensure that your health and performance is good, bottlenecks if any, we simplify a lot of processes, but then eventually we want to go to automate and improve. Where if I look at some of these things like orchestration, for example, orchestration is something that's very important, right? Today, even if you take service management on one side and the set of tools that come on the other side, whether it is Chef, Puppet, take any other name, there are multiple orchestrations. Is there one that can manage everything? Very difficult. But does ServiceNow give you the direction to be a single orchestration engine? Yes, it does. So we are getting there. Persona-based services. People want to be now looked into by persona-based services, especially when there is no corner room for anybody and everybody's corner room is probably in their homes. How does persona-based services come into picture? Nobody wants to really use a laptop, desktop now. They want to be on their mobile services and have everything on a service portal. Is that something that's feasible? Absolutely yes. So some of the ones that are marked in dark is where I would see that things are happening as we speak. And then as we're going to modernize and innovate, we see a lot of new things coming up like machine learning, AI, and it's not that these are new stuff. These are probably things that existed in some form, but the way it is now inserted into the overall business solution, whether it is using a chatbot for self-service or using the natural language processing to process multiple languages in a organization that is spread across the geos, all those things add up to the AI part of it. And if you look at the analytics wing, there are so many levels of analytics where things become easier and easier as you go higher up the ladder in terms of being able to analyze your data, be able to come back with a summary of that, and be able to proactively and well ahead of the problem, be able to say that there's a problem that's going to hit. This could happen in outage management, this could happen in crisis situations, and these are the helping tools that we see there's a lot more interest. Virtual agent is also one of the components of artificial intelligence, but the virtual agent has been there for quite some time, and thereby I see that that is something that customers take it as a standard, that virtual agent becomes embedded into our services. And last but not the least, some of the dashboards that we have been looking at and creating is causing a lot of disruption, primarily because IT used to have a dashboard. Business never used to believe that that's the dashboard that makes real sense and we are getting the right results with the SLAs and stuff like that. Now there's a business dashboard, and in the business dashboard, you just see the IT SLAs come up as XLAs, which is what we are seeing. And we are seeing a lot of XLAs, right? Whether it is throughput time reduction, whether it is user experience evaluation, and these are the ones that we are seeing in our new dashboards. But apart from that, what else do we see? We see the business angle of the dashboards. How is our legal function working? How is our procurement function working? How is my HR working? What is happening with respect to the amount of mergers and acquisitions I'm doing, and now how well am I integrating that into a single set of processes and procedures? So these intuitive dashboards, initiative ones, are a big ticket item for us, and I can say that we have done a lot of them, and which we could rinse and repeat. So right from consulting, design implementation to operationalize with continuous improvements, we would like a customer to go from as a solution all the way to modernize and innovate, and Microland would help in the journey over there. This is a slide that most of you would have constantly seen, that ServiceNow has just grown and grown and grown, and it's just sometimes For me itself, it's so much difficult to say keep up with the pace of ServiceNow. Very difficult, I would say. And most of you have gone through this difficulty of keeping pace with ServiceNow. But I can say that we have been tipping the threshold every single time. So all the green dots that you see, whether it is on intelligent apps, whether it is related to IT operations or customer service or IT service management, we have been doing very well, especially in the areas of asset management, taking some of the features of the Now platform, implementing. And whatever you see in the orange stuff up here is where we would have done pockets of it, would have done one of this or one of this kind of stuff. But what we have also done is that, you know, that with the advent of the mall system, a lot of things went to the big organizations having all the mall kind of approach. But we have also used a lot of small organizations, I would say, as an umbrella organization, Microland being the umbrella. We also embed a lot of smaller organizations to develop some very, very niche skills. So some of the successes that we have also seen can not just be attributed to Microland, but also is linked to the partnership that Microland has built in to bring the best of competencies to our customers. And these are some of the examples: ITSM, ITOM, integrations, plenty of integrations, platform where how the mid server is installed, how do you leverage the flow designer to create workflows, and what do you do with HR and security, right? So these are all the things where there is extremely strong competence, and we would actually be able to rinse and repeat the solutions that we have created, changing some of the tools and and frameworks. But otherwise, this is something that we can do it off the cuff. We've done a lot of investments around the center of excellence, built the team, a lot of standardized stuff available, IPs that we can take out, and basically a lot of reusable stuff that can be brought into the discussion. I want to spend a lot more time up here because those were just the generic slides that I thought was very important for you to know where Microland stands and what Microland is doing. But these are some case studies where you can probably relate to what's happening on the ground. So every single day when I am talking to some customer, I'm not talking IT at all. The overall discussion is where there's an IT person there, there's a business person on the other side, there's a backend person there as well. And we are discussing an overall solution as the conversation. Everybody wants to know, what does my day 2 look like? What is the business impact that is going to change by the actions you guys are going to do? How is my new employee onboarding pack going to be circulated within 5 minutes of my employee getting onboarded? Questions like this have become very rampant, right? So it's more an overall solution discussion rather than an IT services discussion. The first one that I see here is what we delivered for one of our customers in Europe. They have grown by mergers and acquisition. The organization is extremely innovative, wants to do more. The stakeholder is really hungry for actually bringing in everything together on the Now platform. And we partnered with him. And in that context, we had their multiple organizations, say, using multiple HR systems. And we looked at multiple applications being there, limited users on their core Workday solution. And then they had SAP codes and Cognos codes and all that stuff. And then there was a missing portal, learning portal for people where they could order something like how they order on Amazon, right? You can order your learning like how you order on Amazon. That was missing. And then what we did is we got all of them onto a single platform, which is on ServiceNow, where we took the HR suite, integrated with Workday, integrated with other tools. So then what happened, it became that over a period of time, everything came from the logons, SAP logons. Then it went into Workday, and from Workday it came into ServiceNow, and from ServiceNow it went into Active Directory. So thereby you're seeing we are enabling HR services for all the workforce with one single platform, which is ServiceNow. And that's where the policy imports, the knowledge management, the learning stuff, and the service portal, all of them come under one umbrella. So it becomes the single source of truth, streamlined HR services, operations productivity, and platform compliance and roadmap. The second one was also with respect to Active Directory. We saw quite a few people who were not on the Active Directory because we had on-prem, we had on Azure, and there were many people who were accessing without actually getting out of the Active Directory at all. Many times there were licensing issues, there were reporting issues, and there were at least like 10 to 12,000 users. And these included contractors, these included remote workers, these included managed temporary workers, and their own FTEs. And the access to applications, very difficult to monitor, manage, and say who gets access to what, because that is the kind of workforce that was there on the ground. So we eliminated, in fact, the Active Directory services itself from a day-to-day operation stuff. No intervention required now, zero touch, everything's through ServiceNow. And thereby we are managing contractors, we're managing remote workers, managed services workers, and FTEs, providing access to their own applications and everything through ServiceNow. If you look at the third thing that we did, everybody has a source of truth in the organization. Somebody says my SCCM is a source of truth. Somebody says I have Meraki, which is my network stuff, but that is my source of truth. Somebody else's source of truth says, I don't know actually. I just don't know. And thereby we had to choose which is the source of truth. And then we found that the way it operated was different. Like the way SCCM looked at a box server and named it versus how a Linux system is named somewhere else through a chef or a puppet, they are different. The naming is different. So we had to bring some of these tools together, do a correlation of the tools, look back at the user logins, the logs to say how many had logged in and what time, bring in intelligence into this discussions between these various different tools and the logons, create a methodology, and then plug it into ServiceNow. In this particular case, we use Meraki as the standard for the import of the items, but in few other clients, which I have not demonstrated here, we brought in all the tools, took the intelligence out of each of the tool, correlated them, looked at the logs, and then the clean filtered output is what went into the CMDB. So I think there are different ways and different models for different customers, which is why I wanted to bring out there is probably one source of truth. There's probably multiple sources of truth. And thereby, to avoid duplication, to have the right nomenclature entered in the CMDB, we had to do some stuff. And last but not the least was the QBEC upgrade part. I think that's a great example that I wanted to bring in. With the QBEC upgrade, we also looked at what actually happens when you want to upgrade. Why do you want to upgrade actually? Why don't you just remain on the old one? So one of the things that we also saw was in the QBEC upgrade, we saw a need for the workplace services to become stronger. So end user computers, end user laptops, end user mobiles, they were all in a state where the data that we were discovering was not accurate from the previous platforms. So in the QBEC version, the agent collector came as a blessing in the disguise, and we took the blessing in the disguise and then used the agent collector to ensure that we are trying to be as mature as possible on the digital workplace device data collection. Similarly, we had like multiple languages, 6 languages across the globe, and they all had to come together in some form or the other. And the QBEC version also gave us the ability to have natural language processing utilized the right way, and thereby we use the NLP stuff from QBEC to ensure that we are able to implement this out of the box by them. So some of these things is what we think everything is the rinse and repeat story that I want to really bring out here. So we have actually tried our best to see that we create a solution that can be moved from organization to organization, and basically there's a business impact out of that. So the next one that I want to talk about is where the source of truth was multiple source of truth. And the only way that people used to get to those multiple source of truth was through a CyberArk solution where all the access was through that. And we also don't know what that access is, what that password is, all that stuff. But we know that using CyberArk, we are able to actually go to different other tools and platforms, be able to pull out the data and enable identity management within the organization. And that's where we took off a HPU CMDB version that existed in the past, a BMC platform that existed in the past, moved everything over to ServiceNow. And when we moved over to ServiceNow, we also implemented the integration with CyberArk and ServiceNow, where after CyberArk, it used to go to multiple tools. We bring in all the data, we correlate it, we ensure that we remove the duplicates, and then enable identity management to ServiceNow. So ServiceNow becomes against the single platform. And then the next part was the discovery part, where we discovered quite a bit of stuff. And when we discovered quite a bit of stuff, we also could see that naturally there were so many items that were missing, and it was not there in the system. And this was another thing where we did implement ITAM. And when we implemented ITAM, we really can say that the accuracy within the CMDB is so high that we feel very proud to say that one, the accuracy of the CMDB increased. Second one is our ability to sustain the accuracy also increased because of our ability to use all the tools, correlate them, remove the duplicates, check the logs, and bring it back into one system. So the internal and external regulatory requirements became more accurate. Audits went very quickly, and accurate risk outage management was followed. So some of these things is what I would say we did quite closely. We are also like leveraging a lot of flow designer in our solutions these days to improvise on our workflow solutions. So whenever we talk to customers these days and we are talking workflows of how do we eliminate some kind of an intervention, we are moving into a flow designer kind of methodology up here, and that's something that's yielding a lot of good results. Another one which I think is probably very interesting, right? This is very interesting that we did for a global HVAC IT solutions company. They were using a different platform and they were using methodologies where they were trying to integrate their ServiceNow instance with another ServiceNow instance and those kind of stuff. And they were using Perspective. And when they were using this particular tool, they had to pay a ton of fee on the licenses. And even then, the amount of features that they could do was very limited, the integration between the two ServiceNow using Perspective. So we got in over there, we said, this doesn't seem to be an ideal solution. So we probably wanted to say, okay, what can we do here? So we used one single ServiceNow license for our own use. We brought in all those customers of their organization into one ServiceNow platform. And then we used our one single ServiceNow license to do a seamless integration, a two-way integration for incident, problem, change, and request. So today it has become so popular that this particular e-bonding that we have done, it's actually being requested at multiple of my customers, where they've been trying to do it with different e-bonding skills, that they would say, okay, we have multiple ServiceNow instances of our customers. We do have our own ServiceNow instance. We want a two-way bonding, but we don't want to spend too much on other licenses and stuff like that. We said, no, you have a ServiceNow solution to make that happen, and we'll enable it for you. And we also, in fact, took it a step further, where we took the ServiceNow integration back to Microland's own Smart Center platform, which is an internally built ITSM tool. So what we could do is also, if somebody has a different tool, we can also go ahead and make that integration happen. So thereby the advantages were, one, the tools landscape got really optimized. We actually removed a layer of one of the tools, and the operational costs certainly came down. And last but not the least, this is another case study of a British public services company, where we moved from Remedy to ServiceNow. We brought in all the process improvements across their organization. We, in fact, ensured that there are integrations with Microsoft Azure, Dell Boomi, Appian, SAP, Solution Manager, SAP Business Warehouse. We are right now also working to integrate Commvault and other backup products. And right now, we also implemented the ServiceNow mobile app for analysts and end users. And we have brought in quite a bit of microbots or chatbots, what you can call, and initiated Runbook for their SolarWinds alerts. So the integration story has gained considerable traction. The processes have dramatically reduced the amount of people that are linked in this whole process. The total time it takes has been reduced considerably. And then you have the transformation angle coming into it, and the workflows becoming smarter and smarter. I do have a couple of more, but I probably will leave it for you when you get the slides to read through this. This is an Australian company where we implemented the entire procurement solution for them, completely grounds up, but did it in such a way that their procurement system reduced the amount of time it takes from almost like 60%, right? 60% time reduction in the amount of time it takes to send a purchase requisition out of the window. Similarly, IT Asset Management Services, we have been doing it for a number of customers. And ITOM enhancements and IT Service Management, this is for one of the engineering companies and the consulting company in Europe. This is where we have done some service improvements as well. So there are a few more things that I would like to speak quickly. And one is on outage management workflow. So this outage management workflow is something that we looked at, and we have a service offering in that with ServiceNow at the core. So at the core of it is where ServiceNow exists. And further to that, you have crisis managers, you have incident managers, you do have knowledge managers, and you do have where you initiate a bridge, you bring everybody inside. You use the knowledge articles that are provided by ServiceNow to look at similar incidents that would have happened. By location, you have an inventory, which is absolutely accurate inventory. And then you have a connection to X Matters in this case, I would say, where we have teamed up with X Matters to take the the messaging stuff out, and that's where we also bring in additional intelligence part as well. So ServiceNow sitting at the core with the ability to interface with X Matters and with the ability to have the knowledge integrated, operating across the geos to work for crisis management related activities. So that's been running extremely well. And I think each one of us on this call should look at it as a solution, because in the past, I don't know how many of you seen, there could be a Wi-Fi problem in one of the floors in the building, but then suddenly it takes 6 hours to solve that Wi-Fi problem. So why does it take 6 hours for one Wi-Fi plug where somebody pulled the plug to be fixed? It should not take, right? So in this particular area, we have ensured that those kind of things, irrespective of this, we've taken several other case studies here and said that when it comes to crisis management, you should be able to pinpoint to the end solution within a matter of minutes. The right subject matter expert has to be called on the call, and we should be able to resolve it in with record time. And that's where ServiceNow becomes an enabler with all the knowledge articles, the integrations, the process flows, as well as our ability to have a view of what's happening across the geos. Similarly, on the cloud operations, it's certainly time that there are not multiple tools being used. So we use ServiceNow's cloud provisioning and governing provisioning flows, governance, integrated with Terraform, and that's the day one provisioning stuff. And for the day two operations, we use the ServiceNow Cloud API, the integration of flows, the instance scripts, and again, going into all the public clouds across, and that becomes our cloud provisioning governance operation flows. So you see, it's been done, it's implemented, it's something that's a reference architecture that's available with Microland, and we could go ahead and help you implement the same within your organizations as well. In terms of software provisioning and SAM, we do have the entire approach for how do we provision software by linking it with the software provisioning tools. We also ensure that the deploy package from system centers are integrated, the license availability is being monitored, and everything happens through a service catalog. So using that as a standard version, we have been discovering applications, we have been demonstrating the license flows, we have been ensuring that clients get a full view of how much they're spending and what are those products that probably even need to be taken off and replaced with some of the products that can be streamed into those organizations. So the ability for people to make decisions becomes a lot better with our dashboards, and that's something that we believe we have done a good job on software provisioning and software asset management. So this is what I spoke to you earlier in terms of how the Active Directory stuff for many different users comes up. So if you look at where ServiceNow plays a role, it's all about credentials, the queues, the flows, and the objects. Where does Microsoft play a role here? It's the AD tenant and Azure portal. Where does the organization client network play a role, right? It's into AD on-prem or a mid server that is required, some PowerShell stuff. And if you look at the user provisioning and group provisioning, it's with MicroStrategies, Jira, and Slack. So this is a reference architecture that probably can be used by many of us in different organizations. But this is something that we have seen very good success happening with it. And thereby, whenever you look at merger acquisition, you see it disconnected users, Active Directory is not coming together, and you want to see how you can do it fairly quickly without going through the whole consolidation process. That's where we believe that ServiceNow and Microland will give you the ability to do that. This slide is where we actually said that when Microsoft and ServiceNow are collaborating, how do we stay close to that, especially when COVID happened and Teams became the de facto for everyone and anyone. And we had ServiceNow, which was already a de facto for many organizations. So we started the work of building workflows on Teams so that the ServiceNow Teams integration has a bunch of workflows. So you can raise a ticket somewhere, you can close a ticket somewhere. You don't need to leave one platform and go to the other platform. We did an out-of-box integration. We put multiple workflows, and thereby we saw user productivity is getting enhanced because of this, because they don't need to switch. Dedicate channel for individual users with dashboard, enhanced knowledge base, persona-based prioritization. So this has a ton of workflows, and this is what is now going to get extended into the Viva platform as well for us. So ServiceNow, Teams, and down into Viva, where you'll see connections, insights, learning, all that getting integrated. So what happens is the user becomes the focus, the persona of the user becomes very relevant, and the integration between these products, they basically will take you to the next level of user experience, user productivity, and user satisfaction. And business really feeling the impact of all these things, and thereby being able to develop more and grow faster. So this was something that I thought I'll share today. Thanks to all of you for listening in to me, and I'll hand it over back to Ronit.
Hey, and here's a quick poll first. Can business application or scoped application be created on ServiceNow? Go ahead and click one of the choices. You have yes, no, not sure, don't know. And results are yes, 100%. Okay. Is CMD central to successfully operate a modern infrastructure? Please select one. We got 73% say yes, 27% say no. Okay, so I'd like to thank everybody for joining us. We're going to go into a Q&A session here. We had some great participation from our attendees with questions. I'm going to start with, and this will come back to Vivek. We'll start with you. It'll be Microland is clearly an experienced ServiceNow designer, engineer, implementer, orchestrator. Are we able to operate as a service desk that utilizes the implemented tool set?
Sure, absolutely. So I'll take that. And as Microland is a full service stack provider, so we essentially have in the infrastructure services area, we do provide service desk site support, network, security, data center, cloud, etc. We do sort of strongly believe in sort of eating our own dog food, if I may say so. So essentially, anything that we've developed for our customers when it comes to ITSM implementations or any of the other areas that Shrikar spoke about, we do operate them as well. And actually, in many instances, we end up deploying them and then operating them as well, which is sort of the model that we've seen some of our customers adopt. So to that extent, yes, we do use our implementations heavily. We do have service desk capabilities globally. We have locations outside of the US as well from where we deliver services. And to that extent, we have our own platforms in cases customers don't want to invest in one, and we can bring that up as part of our solution to execute ITSM that they may be looking to implement as well.
Thanks, Vivek. And Shrikar, what about one of the questions that's come up is they want to hear, our customers want to hear about the logistics of implementation in a brownfield setting. And Anton, you might be able to help here too, but really directed towards Shrikar.
No, absolutely. That's a fantastic question. Whoever has asked it, in fact. So most of the experiences that we have had is around brownfield implementations. And the only important part of a brownfield implementation is our ability to do a quick assessment on the current scenario and to see what's happening over there, right? So most of the times we have seen that in a brownfield situation, the tools are in place but not implemented fully, which is an immediate rectification that we can do. But there are some situations where the definition of the processes, the accuracy of the data is all questionable, and also it's not done in a sequential order. So this is when we would actually say probably you've tried it for 2 years to implement, you've not been successful, so it's probably time to rip and replace. But most cases what we have seen is that it's an issue which can be corrected, where the CMDB accuracy can be increased. The processes that have been implemented have not been streamlined well enough with proper roles and responsibilities that we think are something that we can easily recommend and tell what to do. There are some tools that have not been integrated, which we go ahead and integrate, and there are some modules that have not been implemented in the right way, which is where we actually say we go ahead and make the changes and implement it in the right way. While we don't disturb the one that was working, we implemented a parallel mechanism and then we do a switch over. So brownfield implementations do take a little bit more bandwidth and assessment work to be done, but we have done that successfully.
Thank you, Shrikar. And so this next question is for Anton and Shrikar. It's kind of a two-phase question in here. From an AI and machine learning perspective, if you were to take the tech out of the conversation, what is this objectively delivered to the business, right? So it's taking the business context, the business view, what is the spend, what's the ROI, what does it bring back to us? And this is what many CIOs have to justify to the businesses on why they should absorb their services. And what can be done with this that can't be done without, right? Can you do this or can you do that? And then Shikara, really, what do we bring to this that isn't out of the box in ServiceNow? So what's the framework that we wrap around it with the services? What accelerators can we bring to the table as far as automation, machine learning, but it's also general for ServiceNow, right? So this also talks to the greater partner ecosystem ServiceNow has along with us in our own IP that we wrap around this. So great question for both of you.
Wonderful. So let me take it and then Anton can add on top of it. So in my view, the way I see AI and ML in the ITSM world, there's a lot that depends on the amount of chatbots that you would have. So Microland at this point in time runs more than a few hundred chatbots, and the integration of these chatbots is something that can come fairly quickly. So what does that do? That actually enables you for self-healing kind of exercises. So self-healing, AI ops, and that's the area that actually it penetrates into. So we have been doing extensive work on self-healing and AI ops with chatbots. The second one is natural language processing, right? We spoke about that. And in the natural language processing area is where you see that's where you are able to convert the text into speech into text and things like that across different languages. That's again intelligence that is being used, and business directly gets the benefit out of these things. So that's where bots, integrations, natural language processing, self-service, all these are the real factors that enable you to adopt AI and ML, and along with AI ops to ensure that you get the business gets the benefit of all these things. Anton, over to you.
Yeah, no, I agree 100%, right? So look at it from this perspective. Any task, a remedial task that a human is executing on today that can be automated, leveraging AI or machine learning, those are the tasks that you want to be able to lift and shift over onto this new capabilities to be able to allow the end users to come in and leverage those services without having to speak with somebody and fulfill the outcome on their own. Right? A lot of the folks, the consumers of these services, they're familiar with having to have a conversation with a chatbot, for example, to get to the results and the output. You don't need a human being to be able to troubleshoot 70 or 80 or 90% of the problems that the enterprise is facing today. And if you can automate those tasks, you can automate those conversations that you're having, what you're going to do is you're going to reduce your OpEx, right? And you're going to be able to put those humans to more imperative and more important critical tasks, to complete critical tasks, and let the platform take care of some of the rudimentary capabilities and the functionality. That inherently is going to provide the return on the investment that you're investing in a platform like ServiceNow.
Thank you both. And the next one is yes, sir.
I just wanted to add one other comment, just to add some flavor to what Anton and Srikara said, and that is that one of the biggest challenges we see today as we talk about AI/ML is sort of really the adoption of AI/ML, right? In the context of how we as humans adopt and make it part of our lives, and so change management is an area that we continuously tend to see is a big driver for the success of these initiatives, and so something that we've done very successfully for our customers is to really kind of look closely at what is the applicability of the AI ML solution we are bringing to bear. Because I could throw 1,000 bots at you, but if your organization does not have the the appetite to consume it, we may fail in our initiatives. So I think change management is an area that we are very closely working on in seeing how do we make AI ML more adoptable, more usable, and henceforth more meaningful for business.
Very true. And change management is forgotten many times. And that speaks to the partnership between the business and IT, right? Okay, next question. In a SaaS delivery model or the steady state run, how do we operate when you have country borders, regulation, privacy, HIPAA, all these types of things that might be affected by ServiceNow workflow or the automation that's wrapped around it? How do we address where data is stored, processed? Specifically, the question is towards UK and sovereign borders, especially with the split of the EU. Obviously, this is contextual to many different countries, but obviously Brexit exit and EU data privacy laws are of utmost importance at the in very public eye right now. So, Anton?
Yeah, I'll take that one. Sounds like it's very ServiceNow specific from an operation standpoint. So what's really unique with the ServiceNow architecture is we're a single tenant architecture. So what that benefits us is to be able to put the data where the customers are. So we don't have a single data center or multiple data centers that are replicated across the world. We have data centers that we are actually building in those environments. So we have a dedicated UK data center, for example. We have a data center in Germany. We have a data center in France to be able to meet those data sovereignty regulations as well. We also have data centers that we've built up in Latin America as well. Brazil, for example, is a big market that data sovereignty is very important. Mexico, the same as well. So our architecture allows us to put the data in your ServiceNow instances within those regulatory frameworks within the environments. Now, each one of these organizations or countries, I should say, the type of data that you are putting in the cloud has various different security requirements on top of it. We're continually improving our security posture. Here in the United States, for example, we're in a process of bringing data centers online that are for the federal customers that are in the impact level 5. That means national security data could be stored in our instances. We're bringing those capabilities onto market. As we open up these markets, as customers start using ServiceNow for not just IT, but for business process and data that is relevant to the business, mentioned HIPAA, mentioned PCI, we improve our security posture in our data centers to be compliant with those standards and those regulatory governance bodies as well.
Okay, and then our last question that we have posted as of the moment is, and this is to Vivek, talk about Microland's ability to actually deliver, run services, starting from consulting through steady state 5 years later. What are our capabilities? Let's talk about with UK and their different regions. If you guys could talk to that.
Absolutely, Mark. So we are, as I said, not just a full service stack company in terms of infrastructure offerings and application services as well, but we also deliver in multiple geographies. So yes, we do have presence in the UK. We actually even have a delivery center in Birmingham that we deliver services that are on-site specific if there are requirements for us to have people within the boundaries of the UK. But then we also deliver services outside of the UK in the context of services from Eastern Europe, India, US. We also have a strong presence in the Middle East. It's an upcoming geography for us, and Australia as well. So these are just, in a nutshell, I guess, the big places where we are in. For many of our customers that are global in nature, though we may not have delivery centers, for example, in Latin America as an example, but we do support geographies in Latin America where we are delivering services for them operationally, and that is something that we are doing for our large global Fortune 500 customers as well.
Thank you. We're coming up to the end of our time. If you guys have any closing comments, we don't have any more questions. For our participants, if you do have some follow-up questions, we will get back to you and reach out to you. But gentlemen, if you could please close out.
I could maybe, again, try and sort of do the closing here in terms of ensuring that we've hopefully met some of the objectives that you had coming into this call today. Again, thank you for your attendance. I know your time is very valuable, and we want to thank you for choosing to spend it with us. Our attempt here has been to kind of really highlight how the space of IT transformation is constantly changing, and how ServiceNow and Microland can help address some of the changes that you may need to make in your strategy to be agile and be adaptive. And we're looking forward to, again, more conversations with you folks. Happy to have some detailed follow-ups on the case studies that we just went through. If there wasn't enough detail, you wanted to know more about it, I'd also be happy to engage in addressing any specific requirements you may have from a point of proof of concept perspective, in case you have specific business solutions or problems in mind that you're trying to address, and you're not sure whether ServiceNow or Microland in any shape or form can help address that, feel free to drop us a line. Again, you'd be surprised at how adaptive and how versatile some of the capabilities have been in the space that ServiceNow addresses. And many conversations we've had in the past have actually just kind of come up completely out of the blue that nobody else potentially ever thought could be addressed using ServiceNow. So again, we might surprise you with some solutions that you may not have thought of, and it might save you a lot of ton of money and effort in trying to do it yourself or through some other mechanism that might be much longer and harder. So with that, I'm going to pause. Thank you all. Thank you, Anton. Thank you, Srikara, for presenting your perspectives. And we look forward to having an engaging conversation with the team here further down.
Thank you, Vivek. Thank you all.
Thank you, everybody.